pillar I want to talk about that is infused in all of my healing work from start to finish, from how I do my Instagram to my website, how I run my sessions, to how I offer things, to all of the work that I'm doing with clients, is a trauma-informed approach to all healing and transformation. This is a huge piece of what finally changed things for me in my life. And even if you don't feel that you have had trauma in your life, this is something that can open you up to a way of healing that brings your system and your body on board with the changes you want to make instead of it fighting you along the way. So we call this self-sabotage a lot. If you are experiencing self-sabotage when you set out to do healing work or personal development work or to fulfill your soul's purpose, right? Trauma healing will help. It's the secret to overcoming self-sabotage. And I strongly feel that unhealed emotional trauma is at the root of all of your suffering. That is my belief. That is what I do all of my work around. That does not mean that we will dive into trauma healing in your sessions. What it means is, one, if you have trauma in your life that you've labeled and you want to be healing and actively talking about it in our sessions, I'm prepared to do that, for one. But most of the women that I work with are healing some sort of anxiety or depression or really struggling with self-care. So this self-sacrifice pattern where women have been trained to ignore their own needs so that they can first tune into and meet the needs of everyone around them. That is a pattern of self-sacrifice that is a trauma pattern handed down through generations of women. So when you try to give yourself self-care and a ton of guilt and shame and fear and like something terrible is going to happen if you take this time for yourself, when all of that comes up, that is a trauma response. So when we can meet this with a specific way of trauma healing, that's the path forward. So labeling trauma in your life or me using the trauma word or all the things, it doesn't mean you're put into a category where things are like hopeless or you're broken or something's wrong. It's the opposite. It's that when we can apply trauma healing here, it gives us a very clear way forward. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I want to share it with every human being on this planet. It is part of my soul's purpose, and I felt that before the pandemic happened, where I really feel that the, core cause of anxiety and depression and burnout and self-sacrifice, like all of that present for women pre-pandemic, can be healed with trauma healing. And now, after or while we're in the pandemic, I think people are more open to this trauma word and understanding everyone has experienced what it does to our systems when there is a slow drip of uncertainty and unsafety and emotional unsafety, not quite knowing what's next. When that happens for a long period of time, it does something to our systems. So, I really encourage you, even if I'm not the person for you, if you're doing any sort of healing, personal development, transformation work, I hope you can have somebody on your healing team that has some awareness of how trauma affects things. I mean, it even affects how we meditate, right? So if you're sitting in meditation and want to crawl out of your skin, there is a way to learn how to meditate so that it doesn't feel that way. It applies to everything, in my opinion. And it's not as though I'm constantly talking about trauma in sessions, if that scares you. It's more that I am aware of how it's affecting our process, so I am bringing in the healing medicine that I know will help work for you. We don't need to do some deep, scary talk about trauma. So if any of this is speaking to you, or if a piece of you is I wonder, maybe that could be the piece that changes things for me. Please, even if I'm not the person on your healing team that has trauma experience, I invite you and encourage you to look for somebody on your healing team that does have trauma experience. It changes everything. And I really believe while in this pandemic and moving out of this pandemic, this will be crucial, understanding how trauma is affecting lives and how we can heal it. It gives us a path forward, a hopeful path forward. All right, enough from me. If you're interested in working with me, I have doors open for my one-on-one program called Intuitive Woman Rising. It's 11 weeks of working with me, both energy healing and coaching. Tap the link in my bio to learn a lot more about that. And I hope today you can take really beautiful care of yourself. And if any of this work speaks to you, I cannot wait to connect with you soon. I know you can feel a lot different than how you're feeling right now. If you're really walking around with inner turmoil in any way, there is a way to connect to inner peace, clarity, and your intuitive self. And I would love to support you in doing that. Okay, take care of yourself.